First, I will run up the arguments of the government team. They say if first, work is not only based on formal education but also based on experience from our work. Here we can add that formal education is a provision when we are small to get the principles of life that in the future can sustain life. Where in formal education we will learn about something that we have never learned. And informal education can shape us as human beings who have potential for the future. Informal education such as going to school, we can also socialize with other people. Imagine, if from childhood to adulthood we do not attend formal education, then automatically we will be less social with the outside world. We do not know how the characteristic of A, B, C, D, and etc. So that we tend to be individualism. Now, from socializing in formal education, this will help us in the times when we work, because in work it takes a collaboration and understanding between others, because in our work life we cannot just focus on ourselves. Therefore, formal education is still important to implement. Second, it is a great parenting method in which allows their child to find meaning in their own life and shape a person by finding themselves and living the way they want to be, not what they have to. It's true that allowing children to find meaning in their own lives, knowing how the world works and knowing how to deal with it is a great method. However, we as parents still have to guide our children to the right path, provide suggestions or recommendations that they should do first to achieve maximum results. Like when our child wants to make a non-formal education program, for example, he wants to take a design class, a drawing class, we can allow our child to take the class. But on the one hand, we still have to prioritize formal education. We can make the design class a side class. Why? Because even though the world is slowly starting to change, as the government team said, it doesn't actually change the meaning of the importance of formal education. Competition in the world of work to create audiovisual design content or so is very difficult. And it always requires a high level of creativity and innovation, and is always there. Imagine, if one day we don't prioritize formal education and only teach creative skills or careers, we can't innovate, we can't get some creativity, so what happened? As a children, we'll be constrained, we will be stressed and can't continue our activities as usual because we are stressed by our work that demands this level of creativity. But if we prioritize formal education and creative skills as a secondary path as a hobby, we can pursue two things at once. Our stable jobs are secure, and we can also earn extra money or personal pleasure from the creative skills we use. And we don't always have to come up with a creative idea. We don't have heavy demands because we can only do that when we have free time. So that because there is no feeling of being burdened, we are also fluent in realizing our creative skills. Then here I will present my arguments. I have three arguments. First argument, formal education is something that must be prioritized for creative skills or career as a hobby. Because formal education is education that has been determined by the government. It has been structured from the most basic to high level learning. In formal education, we also become aware of the existing rules, a mechanism that must be followed in society before going directly into society. As we all know, if to get a stable job such as job as a manager, director, doctor, teacher, and other stable jobs, it really requires data from formal education. But of course, maybe there are many students who are not interested in becoming a manager, a director, a doctor, or a teacher. However, their dislike for the profession is not a benchmark to say that formal education is not important or because of their interest in editing or drawing. In formal education, we will indirectly be guided to follow how the world works and how to implement it. It is true that some students do not like formal education because it takes a relatively longer time than non-formal education, such as education about skills or creative careers, in order to become a professional. But it would be nice if when pursuing a skill or creative work was guided by a formal education. Or in other words, we continue to follow formal education as it should and also follow teaching skills or creative careers. Because in Indonesia itself, the education system still prioritizes a formal education for 12 years from elementary to junior high school, and at this time is still a benchmark for achieving a job. Whether it's a job from a skill field such as art or not. If you want to get a job such as content creation or visual design and so on in a large company, the requirements will definitely require a CV that contains graduates from formal education, not just non-formal education. That's why formal education should be prioritized even though our desire or passion is in a creative career. Second, one's ability to keep up with the times of the world. Many students are unable to keep up with the current developments which are changing very fast. Such students will definitely need a foundation so that they can survive in this day and age. And to survive and be successful in life, they need a basic such as from the formal education. Or maybe some students do not like creative work and they prefer a defined skill such as scientific, so deal with these students, automatically parents must prioritize their formal education and also guide their children to have these creative skills or careers. And finally, when you want to pursue creative career, you need high determination and you have to get out of your comfort zone. Why? Because developments will continue to change and something that might not be normal will happen, and in order to continue to be successful in following the developments of the era, a broad and widespread exploration is needed so that creative ideas can continue to be channeled and the general public still likes our content. Because if the job is related to a creative career, it will definitely relate to the general public. Where will there be target markets that are liked by the community, and we must follow these targets so that our work can be liked by the community. Here again, I emphasize that formal education is very important and cannot be ignored, even though times have changed to an era that is more demanding for creative careers related to technological design or other things. Because it is undeniable that formal education is a basic that at least one must have to enter the community. That's all for me, and thank you.